This conference will now be recorded.
So hi, welcome everyone. Let's start today's session. So hi, my name is Ankur and I will be your SailPoint trainer. I have total around 8+ years of total experience in IAM domain, and as part of IAM experience, I've worked on diverse products ranging from access management, identity IQ, privileged access management, Thycotic secret server, CyberArk, and access management tools like Ping Federate. So let's start a session. So during the session, if you have any doubts, do write it on the chat window. What I will also do is, towards the end of the session, I will also open the floor for any questions that you have. So this is going to be in store for the coming week. So on day one, we will be discussing day one and day two. We will be focusing on SailPoint installation and patching. On day three and day four, we'll be talking about Identity IQ preview and architecture. And day five, we'll be setting up SailPoint monitoring piece, the virtual machine, and we'll talk about some important configuration files. So what we are discussing over here, we are discussing SailPoint, and SailPoint is having a tool called Identity IQ, on which we are doing this particular training on. What is Identity IQ? So this is one SailPoint offering in identity and access management, and this is their on-premise identity governance tool. So this is their on-premise identity governance tool that we will be discussing. SailPoint is having a couple of other tools as well, which I earlier discussed. So just to show you the other tools SailPoint is having. So SailPoint operates a site called Compass. If you go there to this particular website, these are the three solutions SailPoint provides. Identity IQ, the one that we are learning. What is Identity IQ? On-premise identity governance solution. They have a cloud solution as well, Identity Now, and this is their data access governance solution. So we are learning Identity IQ, which is on-premise identity governance. The major focus of this is dealing with applications that are on-premise, plus have some cloud capabilities as well, which we'll be discussing during our sessions, but majorly it is focused around on-premise. So as part of our course, so I will quickly briefly describe you what is going to be our course all about. So this is a implementation course that you have opted for, and as part of this course, we will be implementing this particular architecture. So this is going to be our exercise environment. This is the different applications we will be connecting with our SailPoint environment. So we are assuming that we have a fresh organization that has approached us, and for that organization, we have to implement SailPoint. And as part of that, we will be onboarding all these different applications onto our SailPoint environment. So this is a brief architecture of the applications we will be connecting. Further, we have divided our exercises into 4 different modules. So every day what I will be teaching, you will be doing it on your own local machines. As part of that, around fifth day, I will be providing you a virtual machine. So this is the virtual machine I will be providing you. On this virtual machine, you will be doing all your exercises. So every day what I will be teaching you, you will be parallelly doing it in your virtual machines every day. The exercise sits, and these are the 4 modules in which your exercises are divided. So first module will be focused around installation, identity cubes, and onboarding applications. This will be the first module. The second module will revolve around analytics, policies, risk, and certifications. The third module will be around roles, rules, tasks, and reports. and fourth module will be around LCM workflow and provisioning. So this is a complete exercise set that you will be implementing on your virtual machines. As part of our installation or implementation of SailPoint, we will be doing installation on both, that is Windows as well as Linux machine. For Linux, we use CentOS based virtual machines. So that is what we will be doing. So let us quickly go ahead and start our SailPoint implementation. So what is the very first step that we are going to learn? The very first step that we are going to learn is about SailPoint installation and patching. What are the different components involved? How is the SailPoint architecture? What are the different components? So installing the base software and then patching that particular software. So these are the two things that we are going to learn. As we join any organization, one of the first tasks that is assigned to us is installing your SailPoint software, that is developing your developer environment, and also patching your Identity IQ software. So that is what we're going to learn. So if I talk about SailPoint installation now, so there are four major components to any installation, any SailPoint installation. What are the four components? The first component is Java. Second component is application server. Your third component over here is your database server. And fourth component over here is SailPoint software. So these are the four components in any SailPoint installation: Java, application server, your database server, and SailPoint software. So let us see why these are required. So first of all, why Java is required? SailPoint is Java based. So SailPoint leverages Java API. So what SailPoint does? SailPoint Identity IQ leverages Java API. Java API. So when I say API, API is application programming interface. What is an API? So it is application programming interface. So if I talk about, say, English language, what is the API of English language? The API of English language is A to Z, the verbs, the nouns, the rules of writing English language. Similarly, Java has its API. So Java has its classes, its packages. So what SailPoint does, SailPoint as a software leverages Java API. So because of that, we'll have to install two major components. One is JDK, that is Java Development Kit. The second component that we will have to install is JRE, that is Java Runtime Environment. So these are the two components required, JDK and JRE. Why? Because SailPoint is Java based, SailPoint leverages Java API. Now we have the second component. The second component is application server. So why application server is required? Your SailPoint software is nothing but a web-based application. So SailPoint is nothing but a web-based application. Now this web-based application should be deployed on an application server. So why is application server used? Application server is used because this will be used to host my Identity IQ application. That is my SailPoint application. So my SailPoint application will be deployed on this particular application server. So it will be used to host and deploy my Identity IQ application. Now there are many application servers that are available in the market, ranging from JBoss to Apache Tomcat. So for our application server, we will be using Apache Tomcat. Now Apache Tomcat is not a pure application server. One of the many things it can accomplish is act as an application server. So this will be our choice for application server. Apart from that, if you want to use, you can also use JBoss as your application server. So that can also be alternatively used. but this is the most popular choice that you will find in many major implementations, Apache Tomcat. So this is going to be our choice of application server. Then the third component over here is our database server installation. So why database server is required? To host SailPoint database. So SailPoint objects are further stored in objects and SailPoint database over here, and so database is required over here for hosting my SailPoint database. Now, as part of that, there are four major databases supported by SailPoint. What are the four major databases? So we have MySQL, we have SQL Server, we have Oracle, and we have DB2. So these are the four major databases that are supported by SailPoint. So when I say supported by SailPoint, what do I mean over here is that SailPoint will give automated scripts that can be leveraged to automatically create SailPoint on these target databases. So I will get automated scripts that will help me create SailPoint databases on these target databases over here. The SailPoint will give automated scripts for all the four major databases over here. So out of these, we are going to use, to be precise, MySQL Community Server. So this is going to be my choice of database where I will be hosting all my SailPoint objects. I will be having my SailPoint database. The fourth component over here is my SailPoint software. The last component in SailPoint installation is SailPoint software. Now for SailPoint software, we will be leveraging a particular file, and that file is called a WAR file. Now what is a WAR file over here? WAR file over here is compressed file that is called Web Application Archive file. So this is nothing but a compressed file which contains my SailPoint software. What I will be doing, I will be taking this particular WAR file and I will be deploying it on my application server, which will be used to host my SailPoint applications. So these are the four components that are required in any SailPoint installation. What are the four components? First is Java. As part of Java, we will be installing JDK and JRE. The second component is our application server, which is used to host and deploy Identity IQ application. The third component over here is my database server, which will be hosting my SailPoint database. Four major databases are supported by SailPoint: MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle, and DB2. And then we have the fourth component, that is SailPoint software, where we will be getting a WAR file, which will be deployed on my application server. So let us go ahead and start this installation. So first thing that I will be focusing on is installing Java, and as part of that, we will be dealing with JDK and JRE. What I will be doing is, I will be getting your email IDs from your respective consultancies, and I will be sending you the required softwares, specifically the SailPoint software, which you won't have access to, so that you can implement the same on your own local Windows machines. So I'll be taking the email ID, I'll be sending you these steps, and I'll be sending you the required software as well. So you can go ahead and after this class, you will be able to go ahead and do the installation on your machines as well. So for installing Java, I will go to my search engine over here, and over here I will say download JDK. So I will be routed to the Oracle website over here, and from here I will be able to install JDK and JRE. So you will have to make an account on this particular website. Recently they stopped download without making an account. So what you can do, you can make an account over here on this particular website, which is free. You can say accept the license agreement, and you will be able to download JDK and JRE. One thing that we have to make sure of downloading JDK and JRE is that the version of JDK and JRE should be same. So currently the version of JDK that I'm installing is 8U211, and over here I would be focusing on exe files. So Windows x86.exe file or Windows x64, depending on which version of Windows you're having, you'll be either downloading this exe file, Windows x86 or Windows x64. So to save time, I have already downloaded that. So the version of JDK is 8U211. Similarly, what you will be doing is you will be downloading JRE as well, and you will make sure that the version of JRE is same as your JDK. So again, you can see version over here is 8U211, and again you will go ahead and say accept the license agreement and focus on your exe files. So either you can download Windows x64.exe or Windows x86 offline. So since they are exe files, since what you're downloading are exe files, it will be a next installation. So you will you will be getting a UI and you'll be going ahead and implementing it. So this is how your exe files will look. So this is how your exe files are going to look, and what you're going to do, you're going to do installation over here. So once you do installation, you will see if you're choosing the default path, if you go to C drive, you will be able to see it either in program files or program files x86, depending on where you have installed. So for me, it is program files x86, and I'm able to see these folders. Look at JDK and JRE, they are of the same version. The next thing over here is, now if you open your command prompt and write over here Java, the system is going to throw you an error saying Java is not recognized as an internal or external command. So what I'm doing, I'm opening command prompt, and if I write Java over there, it will say system Java is not recognized as an internal or external command. So what you need to do is you need to define your environment variables. So we will be defining our environment variables for Java. So we will be defining two environment variables. So when you go to environment variables, you will see two kind of environment variables. One is user variable, and you will see system variables. So these are the two variables you will see. Now we have a simple rule over here. Whatever variable will point to bin, that variable needs to be defined in both user as well as system variables. So whichever variable will be pointing to bin path will needs to be defined in user as well as system variable. So we will be defining two environment variables. One will be Java underscore home, and these are case sensitive, so you should define it in the same way. So you should name it in the same way, Java underscore home. And over here, I will be giving my JDK path, and this will be pointing to bin. So since it is pointing to bin, it needs to be defined in both user as well as system variable. So how I can go to environment variables? So first of all, why we are defining environment variables? So that our system is able to recognize our Java installation path. So once I do that, from command prompt itself, I will be able to execute my Java commands. So I'm making sure that my system is aware of my installation paths for Java. So that is why I'm defining my environment variables. So what I will be doing is I will be going to PC, I'll be going to properties, I'll be going to advanced system settings, and I will go to environment variables over here. So here you can see there are two variables, user variable and system variable. So right now I will go to user variable and define a new variable, and I will call it Java underscore home, and over here I will be giving my JDK path. So I will go to PC, C drive, program files x86, Java, going inside JDK, and I'm pointing it to bin. So why I'm pointing it to bin? Because JDK requires all my binaries over here. So these are all binaries that it requires. So I will copy this path, copy the address, and paste it over here in Java underscore home. So this is my environment variable that I'm pointing to bin. So this is the variable that I've created, Java underscore home pointing to bin. And since it is pointing to bin, I need to define it in my system variables as well. So system variables are the ones that directly impact your registry. So we have a registry in Windows. So system variables directly impact your registry. So what we will do, we will have a pre-existing variable over here called path. So we will go to path variable and add our path, add our JDK path. So see what I'm doing over here. So for example, I go to advanced system settings. I've already defined Java underscore home. In system variable, I will look for a predefined variable called path. So here is my predefined variable called path. I will click on edit. I will click on new and copy the same path over here for JDK. I'm copying the same path over here for JDK in my path variable. So this is what I've done. So what I've done for Java underscore home, I've defined it in user variable, a new variable. In system variable, I had a pre-existing variable called path. I've clicked on path variable. I've clicked on edit, clicked on new, and I've pasted my JDK path. That is for Java underscore home. Now, similarly, we need to define another variable, and this time for JRE. So I will go ahead and define a new variable called JRE underscore home. And this time, I will not be pointing it to bin. So it only needs to be defined in user variable. So let us do that. So I will again go to advanced system settings, environment variables, new variable this time in user variables, and I will say JRE underscore home, and I will go to PC and I will copy my JRE path. So I'm not pointing to bin this time because it also needs access to these libraries. So I'm not pointing to bin, and I will copy this particular address for my runtime environment and I will paste it over here. So since it is not pointing to bin, there is no need to define it in system variables. So these are the two variables we have defined, Java underscore home and JRE underscore home. So once you have defined that, the next step over here is to test whether system is now able to recognize your Java path or not. So for testing, what we can do, I will open my command prompt again and I will write Java over here. And you can see system is able to recognize my Java command. It is giving me all the flags that are available for Java arguments. So now I will write Java version command to see whether I'm able to get the version over here or not. So I'm able to see my Java version. So verify that system is now able to recognize my Java installation and I'm able to see the Java version that is installed. So for testing, we'll open our command prompt cmd and we'll execute the commands Java and Java version to see the version of Java that we have installed. The second component over here is our application server. So our first component is complete. The second component over here is application server. What we talked about application server, it will be used to host and deploy my Identity IQ application. Our choice of application server is Apache Tomcat. So let us go ahead and download Apache Tomcat. So I will again go to my search engine and I will say download Apache Tomcat. Now you can see Apache Tomcat 9 is also released, but I will go for a tad lower version of Apache Tomcat so as to maintain compatibility with Java, with my database, and with SailPoint. So I'm going for a tad lower version. I'm not going for the recent version, a tad lower version to maintain compatibility. Now, once I click over here, I will be routed to Apache Tomcat website, and from here, I will be able to download my application server. Now you have to go to binary distributions. Under core section, you will be able to find your application server over here. So now there are two things. You can either download your application server as a zip file, or you can download it as an installer and run it as a Windows service. Now what I want to do, I don't want to run it as a Windows service. I want to download the zip file. So if you have to run your application server as a Windows service, you can download this 32-bit, 64-bit Windows Service Installer. If you want to implement it straightforward, you want to download the zip file, you can go ahead and download the zip file. I'm not interested in running it as a Windows service, so I'm not going for a Windows Service Installer, and I'm downloading this zip file under core. So once you download it, this is how it will look like. So I will go to PC, I will go to C drive. Here I'm making a new folder called IIQ where I would be implementing all my SailPoint installation. So I'm making a new folder over here called IIQ where I would be implementing SailPoint. So in IIQ, what I've done, this is the zip file that you will be getting. Apache Tomcat compressed zip file. Now, since it is not a exe file, how you would install it? By simply clicking on extract all, and this will implement your application server. So now if you go inside this application server, you would be able to see the complete structure over here. So this is installation. Installation is very simple. Download the zip file and make a new folder in C drive called IIQ and click on extract all, and you will see your application server in place. Now you have the most important folder over here called configuration, conf folder. So if you go inside this configuration folder, you will see a property called Catalina. Now this is the property we would be leveraging to instantiate our application server. So this would be leveraged, this particular property would be leveraged in starting our application server. So like Java, what we will do is we will go ahead and define environment variables for our application server as well. So we'll go ahead and define it for application server as well. And this time our variable name will be Catalina underscore home. And this will contain my Apache Tomcat path. So under configuration folder, we were able to see this particular property. So now what I will do, again, I will define environment variable. So I will go to properties, advanced system settings, environment variables, and under user variable, we'll define a new variable this time, and I will call it Catalina underscore home. Remember the names and all of the variables should remain same. And in the variable value, I will give my Apache Tomcat path over here. So remember to point it to the internal Apache Tomcat folder, copy the address and paste it over there in your environment variables. And over here, you can give your Apache Tomcat path over here. So once you have given this particular path, see it is not pointing to bin, so there is no need to define it in system variable. So this is my Catalina underscore home, and this is containing my Apache Tomcat path. So I will go ahead and click on OK and save my environment variable over here. The next step over here after defining Catalina underscore home is to test whether your system is able to recognize your environment variables or not. So for this, what we will do is we will start our application server. So for this, what you will do, you will go to Apache Tomcat, and earlier we were going to configuration folder. This time we'll go to binaries bin folder, and over here we have a batch file called startup.bat. So I will go ahead and click on startup.bat, and this will start my application server. Remember the log window that comes up over here, do not close this log window, because if you close this log window, your application server will stop. So remember to minimize this particular log screen. So here you will be able to see all the logs that are getting generated, what is happening. If any error is happening in startup of application server, you will be able to see this. Now sometimes what you will see over here, you will see an error that your screen comes up and it automatically closes. If screen comes and automatically closes, or if it is not running, your application server is not starting, it means that the variables that you have defined are not correct. So check your environment variables for Java and Apache Tomcat, that is Catalina underscore home again. If they are defined correctly, your application server will definitely run. So once it has run, once it is started, I will be able to see a message on this particular lock screen. And that message will be server startup in some random value over here, milliseconds. So this is the message I will be able to start. Further, for testing, I can check my local host as well. So I can test my local host, HTTP localhost port 8080. So this is the default port on which my application server runs. So what is the default port on which my application server runs? It is port 8080. Now say that you have a requirement to change this default port. Now say port 8080 is already in use and you want to change the default port on which your application server runs. So how you can do that? By modifying your server.xml. So you will be able to modify this particular configuration file and you will be able to change the default port on which your application server is running. So I will show you how that can be done. So I will go to Apache Tomcat, I will go to configuration over here, and here is a file called server.xml. So if you modify this particular file, you will be able to change the default port on which your application server runs. So I will go ahead and click on edit with Notepad++, and over here you have the port information that you will be able to modify. So under this connector tag, you have the default port on which your application server runs. So say if I want to run it on port, so say 8081 now, so I can change the default port over here. I can also change the redirect port if wanted. So all these I will be able to change. So right now I will make it the default port, that is port 8080. But now we know is how we can change the default port on which our application server is running by modifying server.xml, which is kept under Apache Tomcat configuration folder. So now what we will do is we will test whether our application server is starting or not. So we'll write HTTP localhost port 8080, and I'm able to see that my application server is coming up. I'm able to see this particular page. So my server status is up and running. I'm able to see that my application server is starting. So we have tested that our environment variables are defined correctly, and using server startup.bat, we are able to test that our application server is starting. So we went into bin and we clicked on startup.bat to start my application server. Similarly, shutdown.bat can be used to shut down your application server. As I mentioned earlier, if you close this log window, your application server will stop. So we have successfully installed two components till now, and we have tested them as well. That is my Java and application server. Moving on to the next component, that is a database server, SailPoint database. And for that, we will be using MySQL community server. So let us go ahead and see that, download that. So I will again go to my search engine and I will say download MySQL community server. So I will go to this particular link, MySQL community server. Now, like Apache Tomcat, you will again focus on a tad lower version. So this is the site, and over here, if you go down, you can see this is the latest version. So just to maintain compatibility so that later on I do not encounter any errors, I will say look for previous GA versions, and this is the penultimate version 5.7.26 that we will be installing. Now if you go down, you're able to see over here different zip files. Now what we want to do, we want to implement over here MySQL not using zip file but using a file called MSI. What is MSI file over here? MSI file is like your exe file. The only difference being over here is that it is specifically made for Microsoft environments over here. So Microsoft based systems. So I will be focusing on downloading a MSI file so that I'm able to see a UI interface while implementing MySQL. So over here, I will not click on any of these downloads. I will say go to downloads page. And over here, I will see my MSIs for, so these are my MSIs available, and these are for installing MySQL. So here I can see two MSI files. The first MSI file is 20.0 M and the second MSI file is 414.8 M. So what is the difference between these two MSI files? The first file, if you download, it will only download the referentials. In real time, it will connect to internet. And if you are trying to install it, in real time, it will try to download and implement it. The second MSI file will download everything onto your environment and then attempt the installation. So I will recommend downloading the second MSI file. Now to save time, I have already went ahead and downloaded the MSI file, and I will show you how it looks. So this is how your MSI file is going to look like. And what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and run this MSI file. So now what we're implementing MySQL, we're installing MySQL database, and this will be used to host my SailPoint database. We have already installed Java, that is JDK and JRE, and we also downloaded Apache Tomcat, that is going to be our application server. So right now I have already installed MySQL Server, but I will walk you through the configuration again. While you're installing MySQL Server, you will get options over here. What kind of installation you want? So you want developer default, or you want MySQL Server only. So select MySQL Server only, because if you go for a developer default, apart from MySQL Server, it will go ahead and implement other components as well, which is not required as per our installation. So these components will also be installed, like MySQL connectors, Workbench and sample models, Notifier. So all these we do not want. We are majorly focused on MySQL Server. So you can go for MySQL Server only installation. That is what you can go for. So over here, I will say reconfigure. And you can see over here, I'm going for standalone MySQL Server installation. That is the one that you have to go through as well. So once you choose, you can go ahead and click on next over here. By default, it runs on a port 3306 TCP IP. This is the default port number it runs on. So do not change any out of the box configuration. Do not modify any out of the box configuration. Go ahead and click on next over here. And over here, it is going to ask you for username and password. For me, it is only asking password, but for you, it will ask you for username as well as password. So do not put in any complex username or password over here. Put your username as root and password also as root. Why is that? Because we will be using these usernames and password on a regular basis to connect to our database. So we don't want it to be a complex username and password. So set it to simple root and root over here. That is what I have done as well. And you can see that I'm able to connect to my database using the root password. Further click on next. So this is the service name by which you will be able to tag MySQL. The service name in my case is MySQL 57. So by default, if X protocol is enabled, leave it. If it is not enabled, leave it, because this is not going to impact. And it is majorly, X protocol is majorly used for relational or hybrid databases. So it does not matter if it is enabled or disabled by default. Go to the next screen. So these are the configuration steps that needs to be executed in order for your successful MySQL installation. In real time, you will be able to see logs over here. So we have one is configuration steps, the second in logs. So you will be able to see in real time logs over here. If any error is coming while configuration steps, you will be able to see that over here. So what I will do is I will start these configuration steps by clicking on the execute button. So these configuration steps will run. And now you can see these configuration steps are completed. In real time, I was able to monitor these logs. What is happening? If anything is not working, you will be able to see in real time these logs as well. So once your configuration steps are completed, you can go ahead and finish it. Your SQL configuration is successful. And now, like all our other installation, what to define? We need to define environment variable now. So you'll be defining environment variable, and like your JDK installation, this variable will also point to bin. So we'll be defining an environment variable called MySQL underscore home, and this will again be pointing to bin. And over here, we need to define in user as well as system variable. In system, pre-existing variable called path needs to be modified. So now once this installation is done, you will be able to go to PC, C drive, and wherever you have kept your path, you will be able to see that a MySQL folder is created, and you will be able to see that server. So here for me it is in program files, MySQL, and I'm able to see my MySQL server over here. So I will go to bin, and here are my MySQL binaries located. I will copy this particular path, and I will go ahead and define my environment variables, properties, advanced system settings, environment variables, and under user variable, define a new variable called MySQL underscore home, and copy your environment variable of MySQL pointing to bin. Now again, see, it is pointing to bin, so we need to define it in system variable called path. So open your path variable, click on edit, click on new over here, and paste your MySQL path over here and click on OK. So this is what we have done. We have defined it in both, that is user as well as system variable. And now we need to test it, whether system is able to recognize our MySQL path or not. If you would have done the same thing, say written MySQL command on command prompt before defining your environment variable, system would have thrown an error that MySQL is not recognized as a internal or external command. But now, after defining your environment variable, if you open your command prompt and write MySQL over here, it is saying access denied, meaning which it is able to recognize your binaries related to MySQL. So to log into MySQL, whatever user ID and password we have set during configuration, that is root and root, we will be leveraging that now. So I will write a command MySQL -u root -p, and I will provide my password, that is root, to log into MySQL. So I will say MySQL -u root -p and provide the password, that is root, and you can see I'm able to enter my MySQL console over here. So my environment variables are configured correctly. Next thing what you can do to display the databases that are there in MySQL, you can write the command show databases. So by default, leaving these two that I have installed, that I have created, the other four would be available by default. So you will see information schema, MySQL, performance schema, and sys by default. These two I have created. So you will not see these two by default, but the other four you will be able to see. To go inside a particular database, write the command use and the database name, say MySQL, and then you will be able to write a command, say show tables, to look at the different tables inside a particular database. To see the content of these tables, so these are the different tables inside that particular database. To view the contents of these tables, you can use the select command, select star from table name. So say I'm saying select star from servers, and right now it is giving me an empty set. So this command can be used to look at the contents of a particular table. Star over here stands for select everything. So I will exit MySQL console now. So MySQL configuration is done. Other major errors that people see while doing this installation is, now this is one use case, that your MySQL is already installed on your machine. So you have already a previous installation of MySQL, but you forgot the password of MySQL. Now you do not remember what was the password that you set during MySQL installation. So in that case, what can be done? Say forgotten the root user password in this case, so what can be done? So if you try to uninstall MySQL from your machine, so this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to go to control panel and saying uninstall MySQL. So what it will do, your MySQL will not be completely removed from your system. Why is that? Because some of the services of MySQL runs in stealth mode or hidden mode in your system. So it runs in stealth mode. Now, because it is running in stealth mode, all the files related to MySQL will not be deleted if you're going for a normal uninstall. So if you try to say reinstall again after installing, your old files are going to interfere. Your old files are going to interfere with your installation and you will still not be able to go ahead. So what we can do to solve this particular problem? So for addressing this particular issue, you can use freewares that are available in the market. And these freewares, what it can do, they can completely remove MySQL from your machine. So completely remove MySQL. So 1 minute, I will tell you about the freeware that you can use. So you would be able to use freewares like Lock Hunter, and there are other freewares available that will be able to completely remove your softwares from your machine. So they can, what they can do, they can do force uninstall of MySQL. So they will delete all the files that are running in stealth mode as well as normal mode. So all the files will be deleted. And what you will be able to do is, so once the complete uninstallation is performed, all the files are deleted, you will be able to go ahead and install MySQL from scratch. So you will be able to use these freewares. So there are multiple freewares available in the market, like Lock Hunter. You will be able to use them to completely uninstall MySQL from your machine and re-implement it again. So you will be able to use these freewares. Now we will move on to our fourth component, and that fourth component is SailPoint software. So where we can get this SailPoint software? So first of all, I will go to Google, my search engine. So as I said, that this SailPoint software you will find on a site called Compass SailPoint. So you can go to Compass over here, and on this as a site that is hosted by SailPoint itself. So go to this particular website and log into this particular website over here. So these are the products. The catch with this particular website is that you will be able to make an account on this particular website. So the site name is Compass SailPoint. You will be only be able to make an account on this particular website if your partner organization, the organization that you're working for, is a partner of SailPoint or is implementing SailPoint. So your access to this particular portal depends on whether your organization has bought license or what are the different license of the products that they have bought. So these are the three offerings. I can log in to this particular portal. Now, since all of you will not have access to this particular portal, what I will do is I will be providing you the SailPoint software. So what I meant by this is, say if I go to this product called Security IQ. So my current organization is not implementing Security IQ. So if I go to Security IQ, if I go to download section, it is saying access is denied because my current organization has not bought license for Security IQ. So it is not letting me download. So we are interested in Identity IQ. So we'll go to Identity IQ. We'll go to download section, and we will be able to see the different versions of SailPoint that are there in the market. So these are the different versions: 6.4, 7.0, 7.1.2.3. So 7 series is the latest, and the latest in the series is 7.3. And what we will be doing is we'll be downloading the 7.3 version, and this is what we will be implementing on our Windows machine. Further, what you're able to see that on each version, so look at the base version 7.0, and if you look at the base version 7.0, you can see that I'm having multiple patches over here. So what are these? P1, P2, P3, P4? These are patches. So whenever any organization is on a base version, it is very easy for the organization to implement a patch rather than changing a version. What these patches will contain? Say if I go to this particular patch 7.3p2, it will contain security updates. So it will contain updates on security vulnerabilities, so patching security vulnerabilities, plus it will have feature updates. So some features are changing, some new connectors are coming up. So all this will be part of patch. So we can patch a current base version. So this is another important thing that we will be learning, that is patching our current environment. So from here, you will be able to download your SailPoint software and you will be able to do installation and patching. So this is the component we will be picking up in our next class. But just to show you from where we can download. So if I go to 7.3, I can click on 7.3 Identity IQ 7.3 over here. And these are the different features that 7.3 now provides. So all the important features are listed over here. And I will be able to go ahead and download this zip file, Identity IQ 7.3 zip file. So this is the zip file I will be able to download for implementing my base version. So this is the component we will pick up tomorrow in our next class. And with this, I will leave the floor open for any questions that you have. So please go ahead and ask any questions that you have, anything you did not understand. In our next class, we'll talk about the WAR file deployment and how we can work with SailPoint. So please go ahead and ask if you have any questions. Anyone having any questions in today's session?
Hello,
Okay, in that,
Sushant.
yeah, please go ahead.
When an organization, if they want to upgrade to the next version, so how
Okay.
will it go?
So for upgradation, for any kind of migration, SailPoint has a dedicated module which is called SSD, Service Standard Deployment, which is having tools like SSB that you will use for any kind of migration activity. So they have SSB, which is called Service Standard Build, that is part of SSD over here, which we generally use for migration activities. So the tool name that SailPoint provides is SSD, Service Standard Deployment. And further, it is having different tools like SSB, which are mainly used for artifact management and migration. So this is the most important tool that you will be using. This is called Service Standard Build. So mainly used for artifact management. Okay. Any other questions, anyone?
I, can I know
Yeah.
I don't have any basic knowledge. I don't have any technical background. Okay. Just I'm
Okay.
working like administrator, got for Windows. Is it I can able to drag the cell point and can I go ahead and work on cell point? Is it will be the like good or it will be tough to handle? Can I know
So
that?
generally, if you're looking for admin roles in SailPoint, it will be fairly easy. But if you're looking for development and all, then it will be a bit tough because for that you will need to know core Java as well. So if you're looking for administration jobs, SailPoint admin jobs, which are also there in the market, this will be easy for you. So I will say better go for those jobs like business analyst and admin jobs. So that will be a bit easy compared to the implementation or development jobs. So this training will cover the admin part as well. So apart from implementation,
Okay, but it
okay,
will be tough for development. And
development. So it is not. I will not say it is very tough because only core Java knowledge is required. So in the meantime, like whatever extra time you're having, you can start learning core Java and majorly focus on the collection framework. If you do that, you will be able to move to the development as well. So it's not very tough. Just like simple understanding of code is required.
okay, fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Shank, I have one more question.
Yeah.
So, what actually the work they will be doing in development or in support?
So in development, what you will be doing is, so say in support, what happens? The SailPoint is already implemented. Applications are already onboarded. What you have to do, you have to do day-to-day management. Say user profiles are not getting updated, or some task is not running, some job is not running. Why that job is not running? You have to modify users. You have to look at processes that are running, monitor the processes. So this is the support profiles. End users will be raising tickets, and you will be rectifying the data mostly. So that is going to be in the support piece. And in the development or the implementation piece, what happens? You will have to implement SailPoint software. So say somebody is running an organization, you will go there and you will say that you have to implement SailPoint. So that is what you will be doing. You will be designing the SailPoint solution. You will be onboarding applications like we will be doing. You'll be setting up the entire SailPoint software. So that requires modifications, a bit of code management, code writing. So all that is required when you're going for the implementation piece. Like I discussed, that as part of this course, we are onboarding these different applications to SailPoint platform. We'll be modifying the data, how the data comes in, or how we send the data to these end applications. So that is more on the development or the implementation piece. Okay.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, in this case, we know the background, how the administrator will work in Identity IQ, the ticketing tool, all those. Is it easy for the development or testing in CellPoint? I mean, it's already built, just we need to modify in CellPoint. Is it correct? What I'm telling?
As part of this course, you're asking, Jayshree?
Yeah.
Now, as part of
See,
this course, we'll be doing a ground up installation. So we will be covering implementation as well as administration. So if you know implementation, administration will already be will be covered automatically, but here we'll be focusing mainly on the implementation part. Okay,
means
and
in background, one second. In background, I know what the applications are working, how it's going, and
Mhm.
in this case, background, if I know, I can be easily get knowledge on cell point in development. Is it good way or how?
So as I said, for development, majorly you have to focus on core Java. So if you know core Java, you know Bean shell scripting a bit, you will be able to pick up the development piece. Okay, so majorly for development, focus on learning core Java.
Right.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, then if anyone is having any questions, please go ahead.
Yes,
We can, yeah,
I have a question.
yeah,
Uh,
please go ahead.
is there any form of exam or certification after this training?
And there are certifications. So there are two kind of certifications that are there in the market from the vendor itself, SailPoint. So with this course, there are two certifications. So one is architect level certification, and one is senior engineer level certification. So with this course, you will be able to crack the senior engineer level certification. But for the architect level, you will need more practice on the SailPoint framework and the SailPoint API. So I will say after this course, you can go for the base certification, and for the architect level certification, you need some time to practice more on SailPoint and look at the provisioning piece, and then only I will recommend you going after the architect certification. Does that answer your question, or do you have any follow-up questions on that?
Yeah, so do you provide the certification or it has to be through SailPoint?
No, it is through SailPoint. So if any, say, like organizations that you are doing training with, if they provide you certification, that does not hold any value in the market. So say if I am a third party vendor today, I go ahead and say make a SailPoint certification, it does not matter in the market. So it has to be from the vendor. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone having any other questions? Anything you're having doubts with? Please go ahead and ask. Okay. In that case, I will wrap up for today, and I will get your IDs from the respective consultancies, and tomorrow we'll learn how we will further deploy SailPoint on our application server. Thanks a lot for joining, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you.